In 1933, Adolf Hitler was elected Chancellor of Germany. Hitler then started his Nazi Party, which only Aryan people were allowed to join. Aryan people are blonde and blue-eyed. The Aryan race was a superior race in 8000 BC. The Japanese had their own plans. They were planning to take over East Asia and the islands in the Pacific. Japan needed more raw resources and economic funds. They also wanted to expand their empire. Emperor Hirohito of Japan ordered an attack on the Philippines, the coast of Asia, and Indochina. The dictator of Italy was Benito Mussolini. He didn't enter the war until 1940, when France was falling. Mussolini didn't want to get involved with the war, but due to pressure he joined the Axis forces with Hitler, and he helped occupy Albania. Hitler now planned his world domination, beginning with the takeover of Poland on April 1st, 1939, when World War II officially started. Joseph Stalin, dictator of Russia, helped Hitler take over Poland because Germany and Russia signed a treaty saying the two countries will not go to war. Poland was attacked from the east and west. The country had no choice but to surrender. Hitler now started to exterminate the Jews in Nazi-controlled areas. No one knows specifically why Hitler hated Jews. He too was a bit Jewish himself, but maybe it had something to do with the Aryan race. By the 1940s, Hitler had taken over most of Europe. His empire included Albania, Austria, Belgium, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Estonia, France, Greece, Italy, Poland, Norway, Yugoslavia, Ukraine, Latvia, Luxembourg, Lithuania, Marino, Russia, Italy, and other militias in Nazi occupation area. On July 21st, 1941, Hitler attacked Stalingrad, Russia. One reason Hitler attacked Russia is that Nazism stood against everything communism. Russia was a communist country. Hitler also wanted more land. When Joseph Stalin, the dictator of Russia, heard about the attack, he was furious. Russia stood its ground and pushed the Nazis back. Russia had more soldiers than Germany, but the Germans had a lot of weaponry, armored tanks, and money. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. These are the words President Roosevelt said on TV to the U.S. on the day after the attack of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by the Japanese. The Japanese attacked the U.S. because they thought the U.S. would interfere with their plans to take over the Pacific Ocean. Another reason is President Roosevelt signed an oil embargo that cut off oil supply to Japan, and Japan loses 90% of its oil supply. The U.S. was now in World War II. The U.S. helped fight in Europe and helped free the Pacific Islands. On June 4th, 1944, General Patton planned Operation D-Day, which would free France from the fascist Nazis. The plan worked, but over 2,400 American soldiers died. The U.S. sent U.S. Marines to fight in the Pacific under the leadership of General MacArthur. The U.S. got help from Australia and the Philippines. The Japanese were hard to push back, but the U.S. stayed strong and kept on fighting. Over 4 million U.S. soldiers died during the Pacific Campaign. Russia was a big help during the war in Europe. The U.S. attacked from the west of Nazi Germany, and Russia attacked from the east. Russia had more money, soldiers, tanks, and weaponry. Hitler was now realizing he can't win. Hitler spent over $1 million to build the Olympic arena in Germany, so his soldiers were given little food and weapons. Also, Hitler wasn't an expert in war tactics, so his military orders weren't so smart. In 1945, Hitler was by himself in Europe. Russia, Britain, the US, and Africa were countering him. The US Marines were freeing many islands in the Pacific from the Japanese. Many brave men lost their lives in the Pacific, but the US came out on top. The Japanese were losing so badly that they got kids to fight in the war too. In April 1945, a barrage of rockets rained on the city of Berlin as the Russian Red Army advanced to Germany to kill Hitler and destroy the Third Reich. Their tanks smashed through walls and buildings. April 30th, 1945, Russia was at the capital of Berlin, where Hitler was at. The Reichstag, the Red Army, gave it their all to raise the Russian flag on top of the Reichstag. After the Russian flag was raised and the Nazis were dead, they found Hitler's body. Hitler committed suicide. No one knows why Hitler committed suicide. The Russians didn't care as long as he was dead. U.S. President Harry S. Truman ordered the Air Force to drop the atom bomb on Japan. The United States dropped the atom bomb to avoid another year of fighting. On September 2nd, Japan finally surrendered, signing a peace treaty, ending the war. Over 70 million lives were lost as a cause of World War II. It was the most destructive and deadliest war in human history.